Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, office staff potlunch lunches, no more. Got told to give up my place in line because I'm a skinny bitch. I'm an average size human for my height. What a weirdo. Entitled Dad on a Flight. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Office staff potlunch lunches, no more. This happened about 10 years ago, but it was the final straw. Office staff luncheon, everyone is to sign up to bring a dish. I spent over $50 in ground beef plus nachos, taco shells, sour cream, and taco sauce. I used my big crock pot, and it was full. Stopped by the break room during planning time, and the room was filled with loads of delicious goodies for an army. When it was time for our team to go fix our plates during lunch, the room looked like a mob had hit it. All the tacos and sauces, tortillas, fiesta corn, salsa, fruit, etc. were gone. Nothing but a bag of nacho chips were left for the last team. Come to find out that several people made second plates to take home, and people who didn't contribute were the first ones in line. My team and I were all very hurt and hungry. Admin was informed, but no apologies and assistance. The next year, the principal comes around with the sign-up sheet. It should be noted that this principal is a first-class Jack $1. The stories I could tell about this guy. Hope he's enjoying the brand new 9 Christmas tree he stole from the school. Back to the story, he asks me why no one from our grade level has signed up for our Christmas potluck. I just looked at him and explained that each of us had contributed at least $50 each on the Feliz Navidad meal, and all we received was a few nachos. He tries to say this is the first he has heard of this. Lie. He and the AP were both notified that our team didn't get lunch. His response, well, this is the time you should be in the Christmas spirit. I was more than ticked that our own co-workers were being gluttons and thinking of noon else. It happened previously at a Thanksgiving luncheon, and the 2 huge pan of dressing that was homemade by the sweet office staff didn't make it through one half of the luncheon. No more. People wanting free rides and having no respect were showing courtesy for those who spent their time and money, and someone has to go ruin it. I had that happen when I was 6 months pregnant. I made Kahlua pork, about 15 pounds of it. I got caught in a meeting but saw people walk by with multiple to-go plates. When I got out of the meeting, there was literally a bag of rolls left. I personally sought those people out and asked them why they had to-go plates when not everyone had eaten yet. None of them had a response that was much more than a grunt, but that was the last time I ever participated in any kind of potluck and never will again. We got free champagne and juice once at a previous employer. Several people hid bottles under their desks to take home. You best believe we opened up every single bottle and made it clear that everyone was welcome to drink, or not, but hiding stuff is bullshit. Company paid for everything and they wanted us to enjoy it then and there. I would have taken the plates back and at least eaten some of it. We had a potluck for someone on our team. Someone made a homemade version of their favorite cake. Someone from another team took the entire cake to their desk and proceeded to eat it with a fork. They weren't with the company the next day. Serves them right. Actual consequences for food thieves are rare. Yeah, we had a potluck at the last place I worked at, and one of the co-workers walked out with a whole turkey. Seriously, slipped out the back door and put it in her car and came back like nothing happened. We only knew who did it because of the security cameras. There are 1000% some rules that should be in place for every potluck ever. Rule 1: if you do not bring food, you do not get to eat food. End of story. I don't care if you can't cook to save your life, go to the store and get a veggie tray, big package of cookies, one of those sandwiches the deli counter makes for you, something. Rule 2: potluck food does not leave the potluck. At least not until the end of the day, when everyone there has had a chance to eat. Then, and only then, people can divvy up the remaining food amongst themselves. I don't blame you one iota for not wanting to participate again. This is why our school secretary would serve the food. She would put an appropriate portion on each person's plate, and if you tried getting more, she'd publicly shame you. Loudly. If you didn't bring anything, she'd hesitate serving you and would point blank ask what you brought. She knew because she had a list of what each of us brought. When you inevitably admitted to bringing nothing, she would tell you to go to the back of the line. Everyone who contributed got to fill up first. Freeloaders were served last, and usually got smaller portions. And yes, she served those folks too, just to make sure they got an appropriate serving. A big staff, 100 plus, Christmas lunch which was catered, but the people at the end of the queue missed out completely due to gluttons at the start of the queue. Boss refunded them their money and kept a list of all their names. One more big catered lunch was held where those people were called first. Then no more big lunches with outside catering, but teams catered their own smaller groups and all ate together, which was much more manageable. Lesson was still, this is why we can't have nice things. I used to bring food for my coworkers during meetings. I stopped when one girl repeatedly would take any and all leftovers home. I mean half-full boxes of cookies, 10 cupcakes, nearly entire 12 packs of sodas, etc. She would never even ask either. Got told to give up my place in line because I'm a skinny bitch. I'm an average size human for my height. What a weirdo. Someone tried to cut the line in front of me at a coffee shop, and when I objected, she said, "Skinny like you don't need to get everything you want all the time." What does that even mean? I wasn't offended, but I was baffled by the strange reason she gives for her entitlement. Also, I'm a US size 12 and barely 5 feet 5 inches tall. I am an unremarkable looking average middle-aged woman in every way. I also wasn't dressed nicely or anything. I had on mom jeans and my teenager's old marching band t-shirt. I assure you I'm no head turner to be jealous of. ETA, I was absolutely befuddled by her weird insult, but before I opened my mouth in confoundment, the barista stepped in and sorted the situation. How about get your fat arse back in your proper place in line and stop being skinny phobic? Just so you know, I'm a fat person. So sick of entitled twats. Wait, just for standing in line ahead of this random person? Weird. I get back in front and tell her to enjoy the view because this stick ain't moving. I am 5 feet 5 inches and around 119. I am lanky, mostly arms and legs. I struggle with my weight because of my thyroid. I am absolutely against shaming people about their weight. It's just unfortunate people weaponize it. Entitled dad on a flight. I know what you're thinking, but this does not involve anybody asking or demanding to swap seats. A couple of days ago, I was flying from the UK to Central Europe. There was a dad, a few rows ahead of me sat in the aisle seat with his 2 toddler-aged kids, I'd guess between 18 months, 2 years old, taking the middle and window seats. The kids were a little boisterous, standing on seats and generally being a bit loud, but it was a relatively short flight and I had headphones, so whatever. As we're preparing to land, as in, we'll be on the ground within 5 to 10 minutes, the flight attendant notices that one of the toddlers is still stood on the chair. She approached ED and asked him to sit the child down and fasten his seatbelt. ED refuses and says he's tried, but his son doesn't want to. The flight assistant spends the next few minutes explaining exactly why his child needs to be sat down with ED refusing. The attendant was clearly getting more and more frustrated when the ED asked if we can just fly around for a bit longer so he can settle his son. QWTF looks from everyone listening to what was going on. Clearly the attendant refused and said we were landing now. ED tried a few more times to convince the attendant to just give him another half an hour before realizing that wasn't going to happen and finally getting his now screaming son fastened in his seat. We landed less than 2 minutes later. TDLR, entitled dad wants a flight to delay landing so he can avoid doing some actual parenting. I was on a flight from New York to Dallas and there was a family of 3 a row up on the other side of the aisle. The kid, about 4, didn't want to sit for takeoff. The father said there's nothing I can do. I'll just hold him. Nope. He got rules and regulations recited to him. He sat the screaming kid down, buckled him in, and immediately unbuckled him when the flight attendant moved away. A minute later, we heard this is your captain speaking. We can leave the gate as soon as Dad's first name, in, seat number, gets his child ready for takeoff. If it takes more than a minute or two, they will be asked to deplane. Well, what do you know, there was suddenly something the dad could do. I don't know what he whispered into his kid's ear, but that boy was an angel for the entire flight. Mom never said a word. I have zero control over this child I'm raising to be an irresponsible member of society, so can we just fly around in circles for a while, potentially screwing up the airport's entire schedule of connecting flights in hopes that he decides to cooperate in the next hour or so? I was flying home to Australia once from overseas, on the third leg with my then 3 years old, now nearly 18 years old. He behaved like an angel until the third flight when he decided he was over it. Don't blame him, it was a 2-day travel home including an overnight stay in an airport. Upon descent, I had to physically restrain him in his seat, clutching the belt buckle, whilst he screamed the plane down. I was mortified and on the brink of tears just from the overall stress and exhaustion. I let everyone else off the plane first and a lovely passenger asked on her way past our seats if he was okay. I replied yes, he's just overtired. Then she said, no honey, I meant are you okay? And I burst into tears. It just meant so much to me that someone took the time to check in on this young, stressed mom who was just trying to get home with her child. Thank you, random woman, whoever you are. That's next level entitlement, alright. After asking nicely, and then explaining the rules and regulations, the next thing the FA should have said was you have 30 seconds to get it done, or the marshals will be meeting you at the gate. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.